Netflix is cracking down on password sharing finally. It has rolled out its policy to crack down on password sharing in the US. As of yesterday, the news coming in, Karthik, is likely to affect hordes of consumers in the US. It hasn't happened in India, but it will happen in India because Netflix has been promising this. It has been promising that it wants to get more and more customers on board. And as opposed to how it started out, which is where I think it's important to point out, Netflix started out as a streaming platform asking people to share passwords, encouraging people to share passwords. Finally, with more competition in the market, Netflix losing money, Netflix now says if you use one password or one account, multiple people using in different geographies, we are going to bar your account. This is a bummer, a real bummer. And I think before we get to why and how, let's start with what has happened so far.
Okay. So Netflix actually started out earlier as a DVD rental company before it came into streaming services. So early on, earlier than anybody else in the world, Netflix realized that internet is the future. Soon gone will be the days where people are going to come rent a DVD, play it into a DVD player, sit at home, watch TV, return it in 24 hours or 3 days, depending on whatever plan you had taken on your rental, right? And at the same time, it had realized that maybe binge watching is something people would like to do. And hence, you will not rent out 10 DVDs. You will maybe just stream unlimited content as and when you have the time to. And that sort of pivoted it from a DVD distributor rental company to a streaming giant that it has become. Now, okay, so if you want the genesis, it literally started off as that. It encouraged more and more people to download the app on their smart TVs or on their smart devices and stream content. No breaks, ad-free, no distractions, nothing. The best streaming experience one could ever imagine. It had a very simple user interface, clean, classy, excellent looking posters, and it wanted more and more and more and more and more people to come and watch the content that they had painstakingly and of course spending millions and billions of dollars of acquisition and rights, ownership rights, had curated for an audience. And it wanted more people to explore that. And as a result, it did not really encourage, but did not even discourage people to share passwords. As long as there were more devices streaming their content, as long as there were more geographies, more IP addresses where their service was popular, Netflix was happy. It was growing its market.
But this is where I disagree. Sorry to come in. At one point, Netflix tweeted out, and I quote, "Love is sharing a password." And this is what people are drawing upon as an attempt made by Netflix to encourage people to share the password.
Right. So sharing legally and sharing illegally, I'll tell you, there's a slight difference. Netflix was the first OTT platform to actually start a multi-screen plan. So it said you could, and I remember, 5-6 years ago when it came to India, I think 2016, if I'm not mistaken, when Netflix came to India, it had a single user plan for about 699 rupees. You make it a double screen, it becomes 800 or something, 899. Up to 4 screens, you could pay about 1200 rupees per month and legally have your password across 4 different devices.
Right.
So what people like me did, there was love, and love resulted in sharing. So I had it on my phone, I had it on my smart TV. So that made 2 devices, but I did share this legally obtained 4-screen password with my father and my father-in-law, who also legally continued to stream Netflix, right? Now what happened is people started misusing that as well, and I'm not guilty of doing that. I still pay for the 4 screens that I use. What people started doing was that you log out of one device, share the password, and your friend or somebody you've shared your love or your password with starts to log in and stream on that device. So that resulted obviously in a revenue loss for Netflix.
That is correct.
And Netflix, in any case, last 1 year or so has been battling with the subscriber base dwindling, with the number of paid subscribers reducing. But it knows for a fact, given the vast proliferation of usage, that there are more people who are watching Netflix than those who are paying to watch Netflix. And that is the crackdown that it is attempting to do in the US.
Okay.
It knows for a fact that I have only X number of subscriptions, but the number of people watching is 10x. The number of screens that I legally permit you to watch on the basis of X subscriptions could be, let's say, 2x or 3x. But the number of people actually watching is 10x. So beyond a point, you've got to have a crackdown on that.
Okay. And how Netflix is doing, that is interesting. Netflix is saying it will be using device IDs, IP addresses, account activity to determine who is in a Netflix household, essentially going by geography. I think that is how it has pinned its crackdown. If there is an account that is operating in this geography, and then there is an account operating somewhere distant, I don't know what the algorithm is, then in that case, the other user will be prompted that they are using an account or a password that is already registered to a certain person in another geography, and they'll have to open their own account. It is very problematic in a lot of ways. That is, if your family members are sitting at two different locations, which is what happens.
Or if you're traveling yourself.
Or if you're traveling yourself, how do you then end up verifying again and again that you are the one who's paid for it, and the person who's using it is not you're not sharing it with a random person. It's not that you're taking money from that person. That could be your spouse, your sibling, or whoever. So it is therefore very problematic, and a lot of users have taken to Twitter in the US to complain about how difficult it's going to be.
I think it'll be problematic, but given the simplicity of the UI that Netflix has, I think it would have had the user journey mapped out for a scenario like this. So let it roll out. I think it will be able to understand, given your consumption pattern, given the trend, given the series that you are watching, the points at which you left a series and you continue watching, given your overall user behavior, I think the systems should be very easily, using AI, be able to tell whether it is actually you or it is not you who is watching a particular content, streaming a particular content on Netflix.
Okay.
So I think it'll be easy for them to do it. And if they've been able to do that successfully, they will make it difficult for a non-you to stream something on your password.
Right.
But I think for you, a genuine traveler or a genuine case who has more number of devices registered or has traveled somewhere to go ahead and continue streaming from there. I think as long as your device is the same, if it's a portable device, the series that you're watching is pretty much the same or in line with the content that you watch. It sort of, it subscribes to your pattern as your behavior as a viewer. I think your life should not be impacted. If Netflix does that, if it impacts a real user journey, it'll start losing more subscribers and as opposed to gaining a few.
Right. And what remains unclear from what I'm reading is how people from same household but different locations will be impacted. So if you have if you're living together but you are operating out of different locations, how Netflix is going to figure that out. What I am given to understand, Netflix will increase its standard plan subscribers so that subscribers can pay for one extra member that could be added, as opposed to adding screens.
That's right.
You would be adding subscribers, or you'd be adding extra members who will be able to watch Netflix. But Netflix there, as promised, has started its crackdown on password sharing in the US, not in India just as yet. It will be a difficult task, but consumers, of course, complaining on how Netflix is going to work around this. There is a concerted effort made by Netflix and other streaming giants to crack down on password sharing in order to ensure that people who are watching them are the ones who've paid for it.